Welcome back to the channel, folks, and to another battle report. It's the last of our recent series of mid-war games because we're soon going to be moving over to the new late war book, The Bald British. So this game is myself playing Soviets against Mark playing Germans. It's a short format video, as I would call it, folks. It doesn't have all the overhead stuff going on and the dice rolling or such likes, because we started this game quite late. As it was, we didn't finish it till after 11, so that was without all the additional time taken to capture all of the moves. So we're just going to be summarising each turn as it is played. It's quite a long battle, folks. It's a short format video, but there's a hell of a lot of turns in it. As you'll see when you look at the lists, you know, there's certain difficulties, different difficulties, but affecting each other in similar kind of ways. And it gets down to a right nasty close-in fight, even though there's a lot of tanks in there, as you'll see. But let's go over to the lists now, so you can see where we're coming from.
Is a typical, fairly typical 1941, early 42 German tank company. We have two HQ of 2 Panzer IIIs with short 50s, short 5s, 3 platoons of 4 with short 5s, a platoon of 4 Panzer IVs with a short 75, and a platoon of 3 Panzer IIs rather, as recce and spearhead if we need to. Princess of the Army, plenty of armoured vehicles. Early mid-war, should have a chance. The 8 gun is maybe not the best, but you've got an integral artillery unit, which was a bit of a surprise, not so much a surprise, but a bit of a problem for people with infantry, where you don't actually have to have a separate artillery battery, plus they're well protected against artillery themselves.
Yeah, and it's, you know, maybe it is only anti-tank hit, but you're going to be hard to hit, and you're going to be playing Russians who are very, very easy to hit. So that's the balance it's supposed to be in. We'll see how it goes today. But we'll go over, folks, now and have a look at my list. Here's my Soviet list for today, the Mixed Tankovy, Mixed Tank Company. First time I've ever used this, I think, folks. So what this represents is like the kind of armoured units that were kind of flung together and then quite unpreparedly put into counter-attacks, you know, like rushed formations coming up piecemeal, put together into the fight piecemeal, such as in the counter-attacks, in advance of the city fighting, in the approach, you know, basically the fights in the approach to Stalingrad. So it's a bit different. I've never used it before, don't know what to make of it. It's not got a company command, that's the first and most important thing. It's just got units. So for instance, you can't get an observer in the Enemy at the Gates book. This is from Enemy at the Gates. So the artillery doesn't have a company command to call it in. It's going to have to rely on line of sight. But anyway, back to the formation. It's quite a big formation. It's got 3 platoons of tanks, the mortars, and a submachine gun platoon. Now the first platoon is KV-1S. Different from the heavier KV, it's not as well armoured, but it's still got 7 on the front, 6 on the side. But the gun is not overworked either, which is a definite advantage, and it's got a better tactical. So I'm gaining a bit of manoeuvrability for a bit less armour. Now, depending on what Mark is going to bring, we'll see if that's a good choice. But, you know, Flames of War is kind of a game of manoeuvre as much as anything. And if your tactical speed is 8, it's going to struggle, as we saw in the last game with the Churchills that Brian brought. That tactical of 8 is not very good. So these guys are better tactical of 10. Now, I've also got early T-34s, 5 of them. These are different from the other T-34s only in that they've got a slightly slower dash speed. You know, cross-country dash is 20 instead of 24 compared to the later T-34s. These guys are all reckless, by the way, reckless and green. And then there's a wee bit of proxy in here, folks, but that's meant to be 60s, which they're a very, very cheap black box kind of unit for the company. So I'm spending a very small amount of points to get 6 mobile MGs with a bit of anti-tank. Not much in the way of armour, folks. Then they've got 6 mortars, which is always a good unit to have, even though they're green. And then 15 SMG bases with the Commissar. These guys are aggressive, but they've got the 4-up save, but they have the hurrah rule, so that they can assault 6 inches, which might be very useful. And they are fearless as long as that Commissar doesn't get themselves killed. And then backing it up, I have got the clown cars, the good old white armour cars. These guys always give me a laugh in these games. They always seem to over-deliver. Never do anything particularly decisive, but they're just a pain in the backside for the opposition. They've also got scout type abilities, but I don't know if I'll need them. Then artillery is a 122 battery, and an anti-tank is the heavy 76mm artillery, so the anti-tank artillery. So these guys are careful, fearless. I think the fearless, careful, fearless, veteran. I believe they might be just trained, but basically they're hard to hit, folks, which is a great advantage when you're an anti-tank gun. They've only got a 24-inch range, so in this particular game up against early war, early mid-war kind of Germans, it might not be a problem, but the fact that they can keep themselves on the ground and be hard to hit makes them very useful, even if they are only got a 24-inch range. So we'll see how this plays, folks. Never used this kind of list before. As I said, there's a lot of everything, but not a lot of any one thing. So each unit will have to deliver on its own if this is to stand up against nasty, well-trained and hard-to-hit Germans.
So the Germans are deployed, quite a broad front. We've got objectives here and here, and my objectives are 2 sort of far ends. So we forced the Russians to spread out. Now we'll see how it pans out. We'll not give too much away. We basically got Panzer IIIs covering the table, the little Panzer IIs over here to pose a little potential threat, and probably influenced where, or hopefully influenced where Frank decided to deploy his infantry. The Panzer IVs are in the centre because they've got the artillery capacity and they've only got 40-inch range, so therefore they have to be somewhere in the centre to basically cover the battlefield.
Right, so my deployment, first of all, my very useful mortars in this game can't actually hurt anybody, so I'm just plonking them there beside an objective. I've only got 1 infantry platoon, so there's something at least sitting there. And then I've got my T60s and my KVs. This objective felt like the most threatened, so I'll put my KVs over here, and I've got my armoured cars. So there is a mobile force here, but it's incredibly slow. I think maybe they oil them dash about, or tactical about 8 inches or so on. Then I've got my good quality anti-tank guns in the middle of the table. I've got a 24-inch range, so they'll have to be dealt with if the tanks are to advance, otherwise they could cause a bit of damage just because of survivability. These guys are hiding a little bit just now, and then my artillery defending this objective along with a big lump infantry with 4 in the house. So as far as my attack plan goes, I might have to be a wee bit reactive, but this side I seem to have a numerical advantage, maybe even a quality advantage in terms at least of armour, so that might be the side where I can get a push on. But we need to roll to see who's going to go first. So, Mark, a 6 and a 4. So I'll be going first, but that actually isn't too bad.
No.
Because I've got to fire on the move. I think most of my guys are overworked and I can't do my bombardment. So my guns won't get a chance to do some damage before you can maybe bombard them back. So folks, will tidy up all these deployment markers and come back at the end of Soviet turn 1. Soviet turn 1. So in terms of movement, folks, these guys have moved up. They tactically moved. They moved over the hill a dash of 8, terrain dash of 8, and these guys terrain dash of 10. Moved up. The guys moved tactically. They can do 10. They're like the speedy guys. Everything else stayed put. These guys, they could come out just now, but I'll wait and see. I'll maybe have to be a bit more defensive over here. And, I can't use my artillery, and any shooting me about moving rate of fire as well. These guys are not in range. I could have made them take one step forward, but then they'll lose their dug in, so they'll become vulnerable to artillery. So just left 3 shots coming from here, needing 7s because of long range, concealment, got to ground, against careful guys, and I rolled 3 1s, so that's a good start, guys. So that's me. It's me done for Soviet turn 1, not very much. Let's see what happens in German turn 1.
Right then, so the Germans have basically redeployed, a bit like the Russians. We've put a little threat with Panzer IIs over here just to keep the Russian infantry honest. The Panzer IIIs from here have moved around this way. It's basically been a leftward drift. The Panzer IIIs from the centre have drifted over this way. The Panzer IIIs on my left, 2 of them failed their cross checks, but the other 2 managed to get into behind the cover here. And the company commander has moved up to provide a bit of extra support over this way, where the Russian threat is coming from at the moment. Popped at the T60s and managed to just bail one.
Yeah, these guys here, 2 shots, 2 hits.
Over here, the artillery, we call it artillery, the Panzer IVs, put their template down on the 76mm guns and managed to hit 2 of them, but they only managed to pin them, didn't manage to actually...
yeah, they made their saves, but they'll be re-rolling successful saves now. Soviet turn 2. So in terms of motivation, these guys rallied and the T60 remounted. In terms of movement, I've pulled the T60s back because they'll take all the shots whilst these guys can't really be hurt. They stayed put for shooting, but we'll come back to that. And I moved these guys up, keeping them as much as possible concealed because they are scouts. T-34 using across here came over here. One's not yet over, but 4 of them are, so I'm in a central position now. That's maybe the way things are going. This guy here moved into the field to get... Oh, shot down over there for a turn. Right. So he was able to shoot up to there. So in terms of shooting then, he managed to get hit, but it was a save. He tried to get hit over there, needing 7s, and missed. The artillery tried to range in on the German Panzer IVs, but didn't. They need a 6. Over here, these shot at long range, these guys needing 6s, managed to get a hit, but it was a save again. These guys have front armour 5, going up to 6 for range against anti-tank 9. That's the best anti-tank over here. So there's not going to be a lot of rapid deaths here unless there's a really, really poor turn off saving throws.
I think it might actually be going to have to be like not cloak and dagger, but actually close quarter
tank knife fight. So unless you're a T60, you're going, oh no. But these guys actually managed a shoot and scoot, rolled a 5, pull back. So that's it, folks. We're starting to manoeuvre against each other. But I think we'll probably have to see some casualties before we see any chinks in the defences.
Oh, German turn 2. The Panzer IIs stayed where they were. Panzer IIIs here, having been come under fire, decided to go into the wood, of which 3 of them decided not to go in the wood. Panzer IVs stayed stationary to put their artillery down again. The platoon that was here came round, except for him who was going to cross, failed his cross. Seems to be a common feature about the Germans at the moment.
Yeah, 4 out of 8 cross checks.
And these guys came round from here to put a bit of bills from here. So the Germans have developed a bit of a thrust here at the moment, where the Russians have fallen back. Shooting wise, the Panzer IIIs had a pop at the gun there, 3 hits, half, 3 saves. This guy here had a pop, missed. And the artillery came down again, hit 2 again, both saved again.
Well, they failed, but you failed the 5 powers.
That's true, I did fail 5.
So they've been lucky.
One of the guys here had a pop at one of the KVs, but failed to penetrate his armour. Yeah,
because you've got to be at short range to damage. Long range, you're not going to hurt them. That's why we're thinking it's going to become a bit of a knife fight, folks. But at least there's plenty of tanks on the table for that. And my guys aren't exactly going to be killing Panzer IIIs by the droves, because Well, maybe short range it might be more dangerous for you.
Well, it will, because it'll be 5 against 9, so...
Yeah,
it's
so you have to use cover as much as possible. But there you go, folks. Over to the Soviets for turn 3. Soviet turn 3. So in terms of motivation, the fearless guys rolled a 1. That doesn't do you any good, whether you're fearless or not, folks. So they've stayed pinned. In terms of movement, these guys just tactically moved over into this cover. The armour cars have edged up. That's as close as they can get, believe it or not. They're too close for a dash, really, and their tactical is 8 inches. These guys were at least able to do a dash around the side of the hill because that's a bit too exposed. Here they've got options to defend or attack. Stayed put. So in terms of shooting, my artillery actually managed to range in. Got a 6 first attempt and even managed to kill a Panzer IV. These guys fired 1 shot each. He managed to get a hit, but it was one in the wood he managed to save. And then over here, needing 6 hit, it was just these guys shooting. No hits. So something's dead at least, folks. But it will, I'm pretty sure, hot up as I think certainly as something happens over here. There's definitely something happening over on this side of the table.
German turn 3. Basically, those guys stayed stationary. The guys here tried to move into the wood. 1 guy made it, 2 guys failed their cross checks again. This platoon that was here, he came round. These guys blitzed up to the crest line, basically. The company HQ, the guys from here came across. He decided not to pass his blitz, not to pass his cross check, which appears to be a German.
Yeah, because he failed as well, actually.
Yeah, he did. Okay, so then we decided to have some shooting. The guys on the hill managed to knock out one of the 76 mils.
Which is a good kill, to be honest.
Yeah. And those guys did nothing. The artillery managed to kill one of the other ones.
Yeah. Repeat bombardment.
Which is a repeat bombardment. These guys over here, he managed to bail a BA-10. These guys did do quite a bit of damage though. Bit of revenge for the old P4 that's gone. Killed one of the T-34s and bailed out another one. Over here, these guys did nothing.
Yeah, they tried to put shots in here, but they're rather tough on the front. And they guys tried to shoot and scoot back.
But failed.
So folks, we're getting pretty close now. So I think we're starting to see some casualties, even some casualties from direct fire. So I think we'll start to get a bit of action soon. It's getting right close in here, but then over this side it's starting to empty of anti-tank elements. So there could be action on both sides of the table. Soviet turn 4. So in terms of motivation, fearless guys didn't unpin again, folks. So disappointing. He didn't get back in. The Bell T-34 did. So in terms of shooting, starting with the artillery, these guys ranged down again, but didn't manage to hit the 2 targets. In terms of movement, the only real movement was coming around the side to get some side shots, and these guys just getting ready, if required, to dash over the hill. So in terms of shooting, they needed 5, 2 chances, didn't get any hits. These guys got 4 hits and managed to get a bail and a kill, which wasn't bad, to be honest. Needed 5 to hit. These guys also tried shooting there too to try and wear them down, but only got 1 hit. It was a match, so it was a potential double bail on him, but I failed my firepower, so he was fine. So in terms of shooting, it's still not a lot happening in terms of deaths, but it's getting closer and closer and closer, and we still can't discount the potential for things happening over this side of the table as well, folks.
So, German turn 4, Panzer III's from here, moved up, he failed his cross check to get out, what a surprise. He stayed stationary, and these guys stayed stationary. The rest of the platoon moved up, and once again, he failed his cross check. So that basically takes us into shooting. The artillery put my bombardment back down again, did nothing.
I think it was a failed firepower again.
These guys, though, managed to kill 1 by direct fire shooting. And those guys didn't do anything at the moment. They're keeping the Russians
Options open.
honest over there. This guy did 2 hits on the BA-10s, but all he did was bail them.
2 more failed firepowers.
And over here, we plinked at the T-34s and did nothing.
Yes, saved.
And over here, we did quite a few hits on the KV1s, but because of KV1s, didn't do anything.
There was a chance to get a bail, but once again, failed
Failed
firepower.
firepower.
And folks, he got back in, by the way.
No, yes, he did. Being close enough to the company commander to benefit from his role.
Yeah. So we've got a bit of, in some places, a bit of a Mexican standoff, but I think it's maybe starting to pivot a little bit this game, folks. So we'll see what I'm going to do about the centre of the table.
Yeah, I think the big thing is going to be what happens with the 76mm gun in the middle.
Will they actually pass a fearless motivation? Soviet turn 5. So in terms of motivation, you can probably tell by the absence of any anti-tank guns, it rallied, the survivor rallied and then legged it. Over here I was lucky I managed to get 2 of my armoured cars back in. One didn't. The 2 that got back in were past the side. In terms of movement there wasn't much, folks. He moved from over here, tactical, that 12-inch tactical, and he stayed put and put fire onto that platoon. Didn't get any hits, needed 6s. Here these fired and managed to get a kill and a bail, so that was good. These guys a big moment of glory. 4 shots looking for 5, nothing. The artillery managed to get 1 hit on a Panzer IV, but it made it safe, which is, to be honest, expected. The artillery doesn't have a lot of decent targets, folks, and it's becoming a very juicy target itself. So I am wearing these guys down, but I'm also wary of these guys here. And I've not forgotten about those guys there. So it's proven a tough nut to crack over here, but the Germans have still got options over here, I think.
So, started off with the Germans, we had a remount and then last stand over here, which was successful. Both were successful. Then the Germans moved up. Panzers have come over here, have come out of the terrain, trying to force the Russian tanks into battle. Shooting wise, he actually came up, managed to pass his cross check. So he had a pop at the BTs, missed. He had a pop at the BTs, managed to bail one, point blank range. got out and hammered them to death.
He's failed 3 firepower checks against him.
Yes. Right. The Panzer IIs decided to have a pop at the Russian infantry and did absolutely nothing. The Panzer IVs refocused and started to give the artillery a bit of their own medicine. Didn't actually manage to kill anyone, but they did manage to pin them, get enough hits to cause problems. Hopefully, if they're still here next turn, they'll be able to do a lot more damage.
Yeah, remember these guys are at best they're a 4-up save with a reroll, which is going to hurt.
Yeah. Okay. Over here, these guys basically, he tried to have a pop at the BA-10, missed. These guys fired at the T-34s, hit a couple, but saved their saves.
Well, actually, there were 2 potential bails and you failed your firepower again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
Because I rolled a couple of 2s.
Yeah. They didn't do anything. These guys fired at the KV-1s, and the KV-1s went, what?
Yeah. Said, is it raining? But you know, the KV-1s still have to kill you back. Which isn't... They've been a wee bit lucky so far and they've managed to kill a couple. In fact, maybe even just one. I think maybe that went to a T-34.
No, he went to the BA-10s.
Oh, the B-10s missed. They fluffed their lines.
Oh.
But they're not doing... They're surviving, but they're not doing much. Anyway, over for turn 6. Turn 6. So in terms of motivation, everybody rallied and everybody who was bailed to go back in. In terms of movement, well, the armoured cars are moving up to get more flank shots. KV's staying put, these guys staying put for a mad charge over the hill. And then I thought, what the hell, I'm going to get these T-34s in to the flanks. I could just sit there, but if I get hits on the flanks, I should be able to get some damage. So in terms of shooting, first of all, the artillery fluffed again. So they're doing nothing to their guys, so I don't fancy their chances. Then over here, well, 3 past the flank all missed, and he hit, and it just ended up with a potential bail. So there's one bailed out, but they're in pretty good nick to be shooting back at me next turn. Over here though, the KVs are starting to really dish out the pain. 2 hits and then 2 ones for firepowers and 2 ones for saves rather than 2 past firepowers. And in the armoured cars, he tried to go for the HQ and missed. They managed to get a hit and a fail save, but a failed firepower. So there's one bailed out from this platoon of 2. So that could have gone a lot better. But, you know, if you can get past the flanks and you get the hits, folks, and I needed 5s, 3 and 5s, I could have done a lot more damage, but there you go, there's the risks that you take. So this side is still looking fairly solid. The middle, though, depends what happens next turn, and I reckon there's going to be a few casualties over here in Mark's next turn. So turn 6.
Turn 6. Turn 6. This guy did not get back into his panzer. He decided there was too many guys looking at him. There's nobody else built out. Oh yes,
there was one there and he was
successful.
successful.
He was successful. So everybody else was gone in. Then sort of the ground tactical. Knife fight with the T-34s. Germans pulled back to get behind the flank, which was quite useful, as we can come to. And the rest of the tanks pulled back because they were just getting shot to bits by the KV-1s, basically. The artillery had a blast over on the artillery.
Already ranged in.
Already ranged in, and got 3 2s to try and knock out the guns. They did manage to kill an infantryman at the end of it, but that was it. These guys had a pop over there, didn't do anything. Got a couple of hits, but saved. Over here, these guys didn't do too badly. They've killed 2 of the T-34s, so that's looking a bit better. Over here, the miraculous white, invisible BA-10s, eventually, by everybody shooting at them, managed to bail them. And it was actually a double bail, not even a firepower, that killed the man.
There was 4 failed firepowers in that turn against him, and 3 in the previous shooting. That's just nuts. That's why I call them clown cars.
Yeah. So anyway, that was basically where the Germans ended up.
Not too bad. Getting some progress here. I had to roll 2 2s to get the kills, but they were in the back, so they were able, with me rolling a 2, to get the kills. Clown cars, well, we'll see what they do. They're totally surrounded. So the Germans have definitely got a bit of movement on the middle, and maybe the battle swinging over this way a bit. Turn 7 for the Soviets. So in terms of motivations, the infantry rallied. Now the armoured cars both got back in, right? But I had to do a last stand because the 2 survivors, it was one on that side and one on this side, were more than 6 inches away. And the wee buggers ran away on a 3 up. Come on, guys. Rolled a 2. But I seem to be rolling a lot of 2s lately, which doesn't help when you need a 3 up. So the clown cars are gone, unfortunately. In terms of movement, there wasn't much, folks. These tactically moved over to get line of sight down here to help the T-34s, who are in a bit of bother. The T-34 stayed put, so he firing that way, him firing that way. Now, he needed 4s, and I think I got a 1 and a 2. He needed 4s and got a 4 and a 5, so he got 2 hits, which resulted in 1 save and 1 dead past firepower. But the artillery is going down fighting. They managed to kill another of the Panzer IV. So I suppose they're on, whatever happens, they're on rerolls to hits. So these guys are still in so much trouble. They've still got a really quite intact Panzer III platoon there, and the rest of the Panzer IIIs can come over to deal with them, I think. And folks, got to remember, we're nowhere near taking an objective yet.
Yep, so the Germans managed to pass the last stand here.
Yeah, because they were out with command because of the casualties.
Yep. Over here, he decided he still wasn't going to get into his tank. Nobody else had to test morale. So, come to movement, these guys have moved up to try and get the best shots into these guys. Platoons over here moved up to add a bit of threat and try and get extra firepower over here. These guys needed to come back into coherency, so they've moved forward a bit out of the artillery template. They will suffer now, obviously only having 2 guns left if you want to keep firing guns at them. These guys have moved up, not done anything. So the 2 tanks over here had a pop at the infantry platoon, didn't do anything. He had a pop over here, missed.
Well, they got a hit.
Oh, he did.
But this was another story of Mark's failed firepowers.
Yes. And then these guys had a couple of shots. There were a couple of hits, but again, failed firepower.
Yep. There was a chance, 2 chances to bail me out.
Yep.
And he failed them.
Yep. So, that's that. That's basically German turned. Still all to play for.
This knife fight's still on the go.
Mm.
You can't get much closer than that, folks. But once again, neither of us is close to taking an objective. Turn 8, so in this turn, motivations are all fine. So in terms of movement, one infantry guy came out to get an assault in against a Bale tank in such a way as there could be no defensive fire. And everything else pretty much stayed put, folks. These guys are back here, but after managing a shooting scoop and a 5-up. So in terms of shooting, one could fire that way, one could fire that way. And they both ended up with bales. And then these guys joined in, managed to get 2 hits, and they went that way with mistake. I put it in there, mistaken target, over to him. He ended up with a further bale and passed his remount, but he failed and got killed. And then artillery ranged in here, got 1 hit, but it was a save. And then this guy moved in, killed him, and then consolidated back out of there. As I said, the guys did the shooting scoot to at least show the frontal armour to give them some protection. So a successful turn of shooting, but once again, no closer to taking on any objective, folks, and it's turn 8.
German motivation. Last man standing for the last man of the platoon here, passed. Bailed out man here, got back in, so the platoon was okay. Then on to German movement. The hero decided that he was going to come down here to try and take out the T-34s. German moved up. The other tanks started to do the flanking attack down here. And these guys remained where they were to try and do an artillery bombardment. He tried to come up because this was a bit sneaky, so he moved forward to try and give him a little bit of doing. He failed. The tank artillery batteries managed to get a couple of hits, but didn't actually kill anyone.
You managed to range in?
Yeah, we ranged in and didn't miss the guns as usual.
Yes.
Can't roll more than 2 in a hook.
That's 6 dice at the guns.
And no more than 2.
Yeah, which is pretty bad, to be honest.
We did manage to hit one of the infantry, but he was saved.
Pins the platoon though, so that might be important.
Yeah. Over here now. Who was it that actually killed you?
I can't remember.
Who killed?
I think it was these
nothing.
guys.
He did nothing. I think it was those guys that did it.
He took quite a lot of hits.
Yes, that's right. He sort of had a charmed life because he was shot from here and he was shot from there and he was shot from there.
Yeah.
Knee trouble. We tried to managed to get a plink on the side armour of the KV-1, but it didn't help us. And that was it basically. So the Germans are coming close to an objective, but a kind of thin on the ground.
It's obviously getting thinner on the ground as well, but it's these guys. They could be killed on the side. They are easy to hit. If they roll a 1 or a 2, then they're going to be in trouble. But the Germans need to keep their tanks alive to do that, and that's the tricky bit just now. So we'll come back, guys, and see if he's still alive at the end of Soviet turn 9. We've run out of turns on the turn counter, folks. In terms of movement then, let me see. Motivation first. The infantry didn't unpin. He was in a position, if they had unpinned, of doing sneaking up in tanks against him, but as you can see that wasn't needed. But they did not unpin. In terms of movement, let me see. He decided honour required him to stay and finish this night fight. He passed his last stand, sorry. He could have moved over here, but I thought, no, he's going to turn and fire at him. And these guys, what they've been waiting on, get some flank shots. They don't have a great deal in the way of anti-tank, but flank shots. So when it came to it, these guys managed to get 1, 2, 3 hits on the flank, and Marx managed to roll a 1, a 2, and a save. The 2 failed my firepower, so he was fine. The 1 failed my firepower, so he was only bailed. And then these guys turned their guns to fire up onto the hill and across here. And some really good saves that turn. They obviously can save better against 76s than against 20mm, whatever the hell it is they've got. 1 failed, but it was a failed firepower, so this platoon's got 2 bailed. But with a 3-up, remount and HQ nearby.
That's your HQ.
Well, that is, well, they get the rerolls anyway then, so they're going to be quite unlucky to do a runner. So, last thing, I tried a shooting scoot with them just to try and reposition them. Didn't work, needed a 5, rolled a 1. That's it, folks. So let's see if the Germans can, well, maybe kill him, but see if they can maybe do something to these so that they can think about taking that, or just try and kill them and force them to come over. So many options.
Okay, so there wasn't a lot of movement, except for an assault. So basically, this guy had a pop over here, missed. They had a pop into the infantry, missed. The guns actually managed to do something. They actually killed 2 guns.
Yes, long overdue.
Pinned the guys. These guys fired at the. In fact, these guys and him fired at this one guy and eventually managed to get a bail out of 6 shots. However, more successful over this way, because this guy shot over here and managed to bail 1. This guy managed to shoot over here, managed to bail 2, and the commander, we'll call him commander, fired away and managed to bail another 1.
Basically, one left alive.
So
one unbailed.
We then launched an assault into the infantry. Because we bailed out most of the tanks, there was very little anti-tank fire. Killed an infantryman.
The defensive fire still bailed.
Yes, still managed to bail 1. But we then managed to kill 3 infantry, or 3 gun teams. Mortars. And basically forced them eventually to break off.
I stayed. I couldn't move to contact, so my guys died. I just stayed put in the hope that it would fail motivation and go away, but he didn't.
Nope. So we now consolidated onto the objective.
So I'll be bringing my KVs back over there.
So, what happens this next turn is vitally important.
Right, folks, so turn whatever the hell it is, motivations were terrible for me that turn. I failed every single one except the last stand for him, which actually turned out quite handy, and for him, everything else stayed pinned or bailed it. In terms of movement, these guys had to move over. Got a couple of tanks contesting that now. In terms of shooting, boom, he actually failed to save, but I failed my firepower. It's not a great firepower on these. So he's bailed out. These never got any hits on him. So we're going to quickly go over to the Germans to see if they can kill these guys, or are we going to come down to our last gasp draw. So we'll see what happens.
So, last German turn, going for the kill. We've ignored the bits of the table that don't have any impact, and we just focused on the objective where the Germans were in possession. So basically the company commanders both got in, so that's fine. And they moved around to get the flanking shots and moved on the objective to ensure that the objective's held. Then the 2 platoons over here basically have moved up to try and do...
your successful blitzes to get them round the flanks in short range.
So, firepower though, fired, we hit them quite a bit, but because they've got the KV armour, we've only got 8 guns, bounced them basically. So, can't complain about hitting them, but kind of knock them out, which is very historic. Certainly for the early German guns. This is where Hitler was complained that he ordered the ordnance to actually get the long 5s, and they didn't. And some German generals said it cost them the war. Cost me the battle here.
Well, we're just going to call it there, folks, because it's quite late, but we'll go over to our recap now. Before we go over to the recap, just a couple of thoughts myself. From my own point of view, I made a mistake by playing defensive with the KVs and attacking with the T-34s. I should have put the KVs into the danger zone. I was wanting to use them defensively against what I thought was my exposed objective, but I never really gave any thought to how I was going to take an objective. The KVs, if they'd been placed in the middle with the T-34s and the T-60s defending the objective, well, my KVs could have moved out and put the Germans under pressure. But I was thinking, oh no, I might get killed on the side because there's a very slight chance they can actually destroy me on the side. But you have to be aggressive. And in a similar kind of game in the future, with that list, I would definitely play the KVs in a more aggressive way. If there was a lot of decent anti-tank assets on the German side, well, that would be a very different game altogether. In this kind of game, you shouldn't try to play too much to your strengths if it means you're not going to get the necessary forward movement yourself. Right, folks, there you go. It was unstoppable force and a movable object again this game. When neither of us could get enough of a momentum on the go, I would say that Mark was definitely more aggressive in this game. I suppose maybe what I could have done is kept my T-34s in a defensive position and moved them out right into the middle of the table and said, come ahead and see what happens. That might have given me more of a chance of getting a win. I don't think I played the game right to get a win. There's so many tanks on the table. They're not great quality, but when there's a lot of them, it's a lot to deal with.
It's interesting because I was thinking about it. You could make them up to the long 5. However, you did end up with I think it's about 10 rather than the 14 I've got, which, if you looked at the number of people getting killed, I would have probably lost the game earlier because I'd lost more tanks. And I don't think even the extra one would have actually made enough difference to have actually knocked you out. It might have helped me a bit against the T-34s.
That might have freed up some more numbers. My main concern all the time was this objective once the game kicked off. I thought you were going to come over this way and feint over this way and then go over there and just roll over them. And your little Panzer IIs, I was thinking, they're good assault tanks. You know, are they going to come around here? And that's why I put guys in the building, because I know with the new rules, lesson from the front, you cannot force infantry out of a building when they break off from assault if you're tanks. So that's why I wanted to keep them in there. But I was worried you were just going to come around after kind of pinning me here a little, go around there. But as it was, it came to a total Mexican standoff with a fantastic knife fight. Yeah. He's technically speaking still alive in the game.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing is that the KVs took up a lot of the German effort, but then the KVs, if I hadn't kept my guys here, you could just move forward with your KVs, and there was nothing really that could stop them because nothing had the firepower to be able to.
One platoon wouldn't be enough to stop the KVs. Yeah.
So, but no, interesting game. I'm glad that I actually did that. Part of the reason for doing that was to try and get your infantry and keep them somewhere over there.
Yeah, the Panzer IIs were good for that.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't move them out. They would just get machine gun to bits with a 4-up save. Because I was thinking I can maybe into these woods. Not going to happen. Different terrain, they might have been able to do something. This is a big platoon. It is possible to split half of it off. You know, you could split 8 off and still leave 7 holding the objective. But as it was, these machine guns prevented me from doing it. But anyway, there you go, folks. That was quite a long fight. It was a bit... I think it was actually quite good flavour for a balanced Eastern Front mid-war game.
Yeah.
You know, there was no really big hitters. There was some big pillboxes, but you know, there was limited in what they could do. So hopefully an interesting and different game for all you guys who are watching. So, as always, thanks for watching. And as always, thanks to all the subscribers out there. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so, because it will help us build the channel and bring these kind of games to more people who enjoy Flames of War. And if you hit the bell button, we'll definitely see you all on the next one. Thanks again, Mark.
Thanks again. Thanks.